Yes. Hello students, I welcome all of you in this today's session. In this web series, what we will be doing is discussing the previous year question paper. It is very important to understand that if how do you analyze yourself whether your preparation is going in the right direction or not. And the only way to do that is how well versed or how well are you prepared to answer the questions that has been asked in UPSC. In the previous question, what we have discussed is the question number 1, and it had 5 subparts to it. And all of these subparts were considered to be as compulsory questions. In today's session, we will be looking at the question number 2, and you are going to have 3 subparts to it. The first one will be for 20 marks, and then the C part will be for 10 marks. And as you all know, in the part section A, you will be having question number 2, 3, and 4, in which you either have to select any 1 or 2 questions. So let's try to understand what is the second question. Let me read out. Sociology is a product of European Enlightenment and Renaissance. Critically examine. Question number 2A, you are having 2B, and then you are having question number 3. Let's jump straight to our main understanding of the question. So, sociology is the product of European Enlightenment and Renaissance. Critically examine these statements. What do we understand? In my opinion, this question is not very easy, because what makes this question a little bit difficult, or I would say moderately difficult, is it comes with the word critically examine. It means you need to talk about 2 aspects. One, how sociology is a product of European Enlightenment, how it is coming from the European side, and what part of sociology also comes from the non-European segments. So before we understand what is the body, introduction, and the conclusion, so let me just write down the body, and then we will be talking about the introduction, and then finally the last we will be looking up at the conclusion. So first come first, as soon as you read a question, you should be able to analyze exactly from which part of the syllabus it has been taken. So if we read sociology is a product of European Enlightenment, it comes from the first unit that we are having. And the first unit says sociology, the discipline. In that you are having the first subpart which says define what is modernity, what are the social changes in Europe, and because of these social changes, it led to the emergence of sociology. So it's coming from the first unit, the part A that we're having, modernity and social changes in Europe. And what are we going to write in the first part, introduction? Oh, okay, sorry. So the first part will be, this will be the introduction. So what are you going to write in the introduction is you need to speak what is sociology all about. So you are going to write down a basic definition of the subject, which means sociology is a scientific attempt to understand the society. So here you will be writing, so it's a scientific attempt to understand society. You can go in a more broader definition of it, and in the PDF that I will be providing, over there you will write how sociology is a scientific study of studying the society, social relationships, human behavior, institutions, and what all the other aspects. But for now, we will stick to the part, it's a scientific attempt to study society. Scientific attempt to study society. Now let's come to the main body part. In my opinion, it's a very interesting question, because I will be dividing this particular answer into 2 parts. One, I will be going agreement to whatever the statement that has been given, and then I will be going into the disagreement. And when we create disagreement, we will be justifying the part critically examine this statement. So first of all, how do you think sociology is a product of European Enlightenment? So let me just put it down. I agree to the statement that it's a product of European society, especially because of the things associated to the European Renaissance. As we see, from 14th century to 17th century, the European people were getting into a lot of curiosity. They had that notion of, or the idea of, spirit of inquiry. They wanted to ask questions: why a certain phenomena is happening, how are we supposed to look at it. So this element of asking questions around it was making them shift from traditionality towards modern times. So one of the essential factor which brings the European changes is through Renaissance, or also called as the Reformation period. And then another important thing which came up in the following year was the essence of enlightenment. And what is happening in the enlightenment? From 15th century to 18th century, every few decades, some new changes are being produced, such as it begins with commercial revolution, the European voyagers, Vasco da Gama, Christopher Columbus. The European voyagers are visiting to the other aspects. They are going to the other areas of the non-European area or non-European continents. So it was commercial revolution, the scientific revolution, the industrial revolution, the French revolution. All these are subsequent changes which comes after enlightenment. So that is also contributing towards modernity. So the question is asking, sociology is the product of European enlightenment and Renaissance. We are trying to highlight how in 14th to 17th century it was the element of Renaissance that was contributing to it, and then in 15th to 18th century it is basically the following subsequent changes that come, and finally the modernity that was completely matured and it was studied in 19th century. So Auguste Comte, who is largely considered as father of sociology, he is the one who is giving an official formal outlook that we are going to study society in a scientific manner. So yes, we agree to a great extent that sociology is a product of European enlightenment. Now comes the interesting part where we will be going in disagreement. How are we going to disagree? What is the word critically examined stands for? You need to highlight that which part of the subject comes not from the European aspect. Like for example, if we take a look, many sociologists in 20th century, they have debated that Auguste Comte is not the founding father. But in fact, there was an Arab scholar. His name was Ibn Khaldun. He has made a sincere attempt in the medieval times in the Arab world to study the society in a scientific manner. So I can write that there has been some contributions in sociology even beyond the European influence, such as Ibn Khaldun. He has written a book called as Muqaddimah. So I can write Ibn Khaldun's contribution in Muqaddimah. Apart from that, the Greek society, the Roman civilizations, they have also made some important contributions into the subject. And moreover, apart from the Greece and the Roman, the Chinese civilization, they have also played some important role. Moreover, I can highlight the Asiatic studies are largely the contributions which came from the American sociology as well. For example, take a look at first American popular sociologist, Talcott Carson. Look at his students, R.K. Merton, Charles Wright Mills as a contemporary to Carson. These are some American people, not the Europeans, who are contributing into the growth of the subject. So if we bring a critical analysis over here, we can talk about two segments. One, where we are going in agreement that it's a European product, where we are going with a disagreement or critically examination that it's not just the European people who have contributed. Lastly, you're going to say the birth of sociology is related to European contributions, and it is also related to the non-European contributions as well. So, so you are excuse me. So you are going to see that European and non-European contribution is essential for the birth of sociology. So you are going to write this for 20 marks. Now, now let us come to the second question. Do you think objectivity is an overhyped idea in sociological research? Discuss the merits and demerits of non-positivist method. So, uh, we will be dividing this question into three parts as usual. Introduction, and then you are having the body part, and then you are having the conclusion. But before we further go ahead, let's try to analyze from which part of the syllabus this question has been taken. We need to be more precise. Just telling that it is coming from unit 2 will not be sufficient. So if we look in the detailed part of our syllabus, especially from our unit 2, which speaks about sociology as science. So this particular unit, it's a debate between two group of sociologists, one who agrees sociology is like science or natural science, and the other who says it's more like an arts. They use the word social science. So this question regarding objectivity, it has been taken from the fourth section of unit 2, which says facts, values, and objectivity. So the question is asking, do you think the notion of objectivity is overhyped idea in sociology? So what you will be writing in the introduction is, what is the meaning of objectivity? If you look at this term, objectivity, it means, excuse me, it means something that needs factualization. Excuse me. The word objectivity stands for quantification of a phenomenon. For example, the word is not related to something that can be seen. It means something that is measurable. So the word objectivity has been debated a lot among two group of sociologists. One group who very much believe that objectivity is very essential, and these group of sociologists, they are known to be as positivists, and they are trying to say sociology is like a natural science. Another group of sociologists who tend to reject this idea, and they are called to be as non-positivist. And they are telling sociology is like a social science. It's like an art subject. So in the introduction part, you are going to explain what is objectivity. It's about empiricism. It's about factualization. It's about data, anything which can be quantified or measured. And that plays a very important role in the field of sociological research. Those who agree are called as positivists. Those who disagree are called as non-positivists. So you have explained the three parameters in the introduction itself. Then coming to the body part, what you are going to do is you are going to first say, yes, sociology has been overhyped. You are going to use the same term because it should look like you are fulfilling the demand of a question. So you are going to say, yes, the term objectivity has been overhyped. And why do you think this term is being used? Is because those group of people who are telling that objectivity is always not possible, they are telling that it is overhyped. Why? Because many times we are going to behave not in an objective manner. We are emotional, we are impulsive. So these are basically the non-positivist people. The second group that we have highlighted, they are telling that it is overhyped because humans are going to react on the basis of meanings and motives. This term is very near dear to Max Weber as a sociologist, interpretative sociologist who talks about phenomenology, etc. So it's overhyped according to the meanings and the motives. Moreover, we take actions on the basis of values, on the basis of traditions. We react on emotional instincts. We are impulsive, etc. So it's an overhyped statement. On the other hand, you also need to tell that no, objectivity is also essential. We need objectivity. So you are going now according to the first group of people, positivists. So if you divide them, most among the first generation of sociologists and the second generation of sociologists, they have been distinguished. So the first group of people or the positivists, they are telling objectivity is very important, especially when you are trying to establish a scientific discipline. If you want something to be established like an academic subject, if you want somebody to study it, we need to write that subject in an academic manner, in an objective manner. If there is lack of objectivity, then how are we going to study it? And moreover, if we remove the objectivity away from that, then people are going to add their own value biasness. If they put their own values, if they put a lot of their own interpretations, then we are going to have so many different varied perspectives, and especially we require some generalization. So if we do not have objectivity, then how are we going to study something at a larger level? So you are going to say, yes, it is the term objectivity is overhyped. You are going to agree with that, and then you're going to say no, the word objectivity is not overhyped, because we require a value neutral approach. In the absence of value neutrality, there will be value laden. Moreover, in the absence of generalization, how are we going to establish an academic subject? We require a scientific temperament in the age of in the age of modernity, etc. Going to the second part, it speaks about discuss the merits and the demerits of the non-positivist methodology. So basically, they are talking about if you are using a non-positivist methodology, then what are some of its merits and demerits? It's again, it's an extension. So you are going to go with agreement, and then you are going to go with disagreement. And if you are going to say what are the advantages that you are going to have is you will be able to study the meanings and the motives. You will be able to study. If you are thinking sociology is like arts, you will be able to get into the depth of human behavior. You will be able to analyze at an individual level. Look at those meanings and motives. Moreover, if we try to, you will be able to analyze the social relations, analyze the power structures of the society. Like, for example, if you are studying everything in an objective manner, how will you understand gender based problems? How will you analyze the aspect of feminism, capitalism? We need to go into the depth. We need to understand what is happening in alienation, in anomy, what is patriarchy. So we need to look beyond objectivity, and therefore to analyze the power structure, the in-depth analysis of society. Non-positivist methodology is required. But on the other hand, if we are using this non-positive methodologies, we will be able to lack a generalization way of studying the society. Moreover, we will also be associated with a lot of biasness. There has been some number of sociologists who have used their biased approaches in studying the society, and moreover, another big problem is this application is not fulfilling the needs of modernity. We want everything in an objective manner. And if you are using a non-positivist method, we will not be able to use it in a modern science space. And lastly, what you will be writing in the conclusion is positivist and non-positivist. Both are essential. You're going to say You're going to say positivist and non-positivist, both are essential. They play a very important role, and that is how we get to see a composite school of sociology will get established, and who plays a very important role in bringing this discipline. It is Talcott Parson. It is seen Talcott Parson plays a very important role. So here Uh, this is the particular question. Do you think objectivity is an overhyped idea in sociological research? And I would say, no, it's not overhyped. For you to bring a scientific temperament, we need to rely on objectivity. And is some positivities are there? Is there some merits and demerits? Yes, there are some merits and demerits on both the sides. Let's look at the last question in today's video. Okay. Let's look at the last question. What is social mobility? Critically examine the classification of closed and open models of social stratification. So, first, let's try to divide it. So, okay, let's try to first put the introduction, then you are having the body part, and then finally you are having the conclusion. So, as I properly believe, whenever you are reading any question, you should be able to get a very crisp idea from which part of a syllabus. Is it coming from the static part, or is it coming from an interstatic part, or the dynamic part? But this question is coming directly from a static part of your syllabus. And the fifth unit, stratification and mobility. And the fourth part that we are having is open and closed societies. So if you say unit 5, the part D that we are having. So let's try to look what is the introduction. You need to define what is the meaning of the term social mobility. And as you see, there are two words that we are having. One is social, the other is mobility. Social stands for society, mobility stands for movement. Any kind of a movement in the society for an individual, a group of individual, an object or a value, any such displacement will be regarded as social mobility. So you have a very beautiful definition that has been given by the sociologist name as Vikram Sorokin. He was a teacher of R.K. Merton as well, who has worked in Temple University. So over there in Temple University, Sorokin has given a good definition of what is social mobility. So we talk about the introduction, and the body part, we are going to bring a critical examination of first looking at the word, what is the meaning of closed society? And as the word itself says, closed society means any society which is rigid, where mobility is not possible. Wherever a person is born, that person is supposed to stay stuck, and it's a society which is based on ascriptive criteria. It means a society which is determined on the basis of by birth elements, such as the gender is a closed society phenomena. You are born as a female, you are going to remain as a female by the end of your life. The caste system, you are born in one particular caste, you will stay in that caste till the end of your life. So the question is asking, critically examine the classification of closed and open. I critically examine the word closed. So closed means those society in which any kind of mobility is basically overall being restricted. So example, a very good example of closed society is caste system. You can talk about the European feudalism, or you can talk about the Western slave society such as racism. On the other hand, what is the meaning of the word open society? It means uh, those societies in which mobilities are possible. You can move from one segment to the another segment, or at least it is considered as or at least it is considered as the mobility is easily encouraged. So these societies are not ascriptive, because closed societies are considered to be as ascriptive based societies. Open societies are considered to be as achievement based societies. And a very good example for that is urban societies, metropolitans, cosmopolitans, etc. The examiner is asking how open societies are not completely open and closed societies are not completely. So if you look at the closed segments, if you look at these closed societies, they are acting like even open as well. Where do you see where these rigid societies are able to transform? If you talk about closed societies are not completely closed, we are having some elements realistically. If you talk about the element such as Sanskritization, people are able to move up and down. There is a phenomenon of blind imitation of lower caste individual done by of the upper caste. The non-Dvijas are acting like Dvijas. M.N. Srinivas speaks about this concept. We also get to see how there is a political mobilization that is happening in the name of dominant caste, especially due to hypergamous marriages. We get to see such kind of mobilizations does take place. So here, open societies are also present in the closed societies, and if you look at the open societies, they they act. Open societies are not completely open. In fact, there is an element of closeness which is present over there. For example, you see the element of nepotism which is present even in the open societies. You also see there is gender-based discrimination that is happening. So here we get to see gender-based discriminations are present. There is a discrimination on the basis of racism. Like till now, no woman has ever been the president of America. No black person has ever been a prime minister of UK. So that speaks about even the West is claiming itself as an open society, but some closeness is present. You see that on the basis of some favoritism, some preference are being given, corruption is there. There is a glass ceiling effect which comes in regards to women, pink collarization of jobs, racism. I am going to give all these points in the upcoming period. So finally, what you are going to write in the conclusion is that looking at the definition of Sorokin, what is the meaning of closed and open society? You're going to say that these societies, closed and open societies, are interchangeable with one another, and mm, these both societies they share some common features. So in any society, mobility is encouraged. So we say the word, there will be a phenomena of proscribed mobility where it is stopped. It is also encouraged, such as a phenomenon of prescribed mobility. So you are going to talk about what Sorokin speaks about mobility, proscribed mobility, prescribed mobility, closed and open are interchange phenomena. Ultimately, if society has put somebody in certain label, it is also capable of displacing. So you are going to write a conclusion in such a manner. So it's a very interesting question. So that's it in our today's class. And so what we have done, we have taken a look at the question number 2, which came in 2024, A, B, and C. And these are the 3 questions that we have discussed. Sociology is a product of European Enlightenment, yes and no. Objectivity is overhyped. Yes, and also no. What are the merits and demerits, advantages and disadvantages, closed and open types of mobilities that we are having? That's it in our today's session. In within 2 days, 3 days, I will be talking to you about the next question that we are having. uh, it will be about what are the other aspects that we are having, what is the meaning of alienation, etc. I'll see you in the next one. Have a nice day.